Hey there, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if it is your first time here. My name is Erin, and today's video is another episode of #Friday Sews, the wonderful weekly hashtag started by Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room. If you are new here, I hope you consider subscribing if you enjoy this video, and I hope you guys hit the like button if you like it. Let me know in the comments down below what you are working on in your sewing room, and let me know how life's going outside of the sewing room. That's one of my favorite parts of Friday Sews, is just like getting to hear what people are up to. This week, I had a great sewing week, to include finishing my toddler's Maleny dress. This is a little Lizard King pattern. I will link it down below. It comes in, I think, like 6 months or 1 year. I think it's 6 months to like 12 or 14, something like that. Huge size range. I did an 18-month top, but then made the length a 2T based on her measurements. I am hopeful it will fit. I have tried a couple times to get her to try it on, and she's just like, no. I'm not gonna force her into it. I already tried to force her into the bodice at one point, and I think she might be scarred from the experience. We both are. So we're just gonna wait till the day of and hope it fits. If not, I'll have a backup outfit. The fabric I used was from Hobby Lobby, the main fabric. The gingham that I used for all of the ruffles is an offcut from a sheet set that I used to make myself a dress recently. The options I chose for this, there were a lot of options. I say I chose, my husband chose. We tackled it together, thankfully, because there were just so many options. Pin tuck bodice, which this was my first time doing pin tucks. They're a little uneven, but you know, the busy print hides it, and it adds something to the bodice, but isn't too overwhelming. The 3/4 length sleeve ruffles, and then the crossover skirt in the vintage length. I think there was like mini or short or something like that, and then vintage, I want to say, was the longer one. You could also do a simple skirt, but I did the crossover with the ruffles at the bottom, and then for the back I did covered buttons. They're a little large, they kind of go over where that crosses, but the print is busy. I don't think it looks bad. I actually used the button covering stuff that my mom gave me, because she used to put covered buttons on all of our stuff. So she actually already had like a template in there and everything, which was nice. So I love these. I think they're not super noticeable, but they add just a little bit more interest of like, oh, it all matches. So I do love that. The big thing I wanted to do with this dress, I talked about for a couple weeks in a row, was use my serger to do the gathering. I wanted to use the gathering foot specifically, that you put both pieces of fabric in, the one to be gathered on the bottom, and it cuts, sews, gathers all at the same time. I did play around with it on some scrap fabric from the same fabric, and it just wasn't gathering enough. It was gathering decently, but not enough. And I really wanted all of the fullness that this dress has to offer. Like this ruffle at the bottom, it crosses all the way over, so it's pretty long for that reason. But it was 5.5 yards long, 5.25 yards long, incredibly long to go all the way around. And then I did not measure the skirt, but it was also large, very large. And it just wasn't gathering quite as much as I wanted it to. So I ended up using the same settings on my serger to gather the fabric, because it was coming through gathered, and then I just tugged it a little more to gather it up. I like how the ruffle at the bottom turned out. I am not obsessed with how this turned out. It ended up unevenly, awkwardly pleated more than gathered, unfortunately. And yeah, you can see like here it kind of bubbles up. What I really don't like is that because of this pleat here, you lose that crossover, like the really pretty look of the crossover. But I still think it's incredibly cute. I'm still very proud of this dress. I hope she likes wearing it. We'll see. And it is really cute. I am going to make her a little pair of bloomers to go under. I think I'm gonna do it out of the gingham, I decided. Just because she is a 2-year-old, almost 2-year-old, that wiggles and moves a lot, and keep everything covered. So, Little Lizard King Maleny, I love the result. This was a me issue, how it kind of ended up pleated, but overall, I really, really do love the result. My only qualm is something that I've kind of noticed with a fair number of indie patterns, really PDF patterns that I've done. Sometimes there are too many options. That is like the best problem to have. I don't want there to be less options, but it can be very overwhelming, like I said, with making the decision of what pieces to use. So thankfully I incorporated my husband into that process. And then when actually looking at the instructions and sewing it, I felt like it was one of those, was it Goosebumps that did the like choose your own adventure or something like that, where you would get to the end of a page and it would say, you know, do this or this, and you had to find the next page and flip around. And that is exactly what it felt like. I feel like I constantly ended up on the wrong page. I did not print out the instructions, to be clear, because it would have been a lot of printing. But I was like scrolling around, trying to find stuff. It was, I kept ending up on the wrong thing and was worried that I was missing something. Clearly I didn't. I have a complete dress, but I was very paranoid the whole time when I was going through the instructions, especially when I would come back to the project. I was really, really paranoid that I was finding the right spot. The other thing is there were pattern pieces to print out, and they had pattern pieces for everything. But for anything that was square, you could also cut it out using, they had a cutting chart in both inches and centimeters for every single size. So for example, the bodice block for the front bodice, if you were doing the pin tucks, it gave you just a rectangle to cut out and then sew the pin tucks, and then you cut the actual bodice. And then for all of the ruffles, you could just do it by the dimensions instead of having to print and tape together and cut out rectangular pieces of paper to then cut out rectangular pieces of fabric. You could just do it by size, which was very, very nice. The back of the skirt also had that. And I think if you did the simple skirt, the front was the same. So I did really like that existed. I appreciated it. It was just, once again, one of those kind of overwhelming things of like, wait, what size am I doing? And cross-referencing and checking. And it was just a little overwhelming because they give you so much. There are also a ton of sizes. So it's just, there's just a lot of information to sift through. And yeah, in a good way. Like I said, I don't want them to have less. I just was overwhelmed for a large majority of this process. And yeah, this is her special dress for Adam's promotion, all done. Next, we'll do something else I completed. I cut these out a while ago, and then my machine had a ton of issues, but now they are resolved. I could sew them up and finish them. This is New Look 6537. I made view B. I did not do the applique, but I made view B to make my little girl some fun festive pajamas. And now I cut every corner possible with these. It feels like I cut every corner possible. But they're cute and they are good for the season, and I made them really inexpensively because the solid blue is a refashioned old dress of mine, and then the pops, this is from the pop line at Joann's, the popsicles were either a remnant or clearance. And I've also made a dress from this fabric. So it's gone quite a ways. There's still more left. And then this ribbing I think was from a Walmart bundle, and I have a ton of it that I use just for situations like this. So the corners I cut, let's discuss. I did a rolled hem. It wanted you to do a narrow hem for all of these ruffle pieces, and I was like, absolutely not, just no. So I did a rolled hem on my serger, and I have this light blue thread in there because of another dress I'm going to make for me toward Adam's promotion. I bought it specifically for that dress, and I don't sew a lot of light blue, so I was like, well, I'll use it for this. It kind of ties in with the whole Americana thing. So I did that, which I really like how the rolled hem turned out. And then I did use the gathering foot for these because I didn't care if it was as gathered as it was supposed to be. I did have to cut a couple inches off of each. This, though, did do more of the gathering than when I was trying to do it with the cotton. I changed my tension settings a little differently than I did when I attempted on the cotton, and it was a different material. So, you know, who knows. But I did the rolled hem on everything, and then I did all the gathering before I sewed any of the side seams on stuff. So we ended up with some mismatching. I also top stitched. I didn't do that for all of them. I did the top stitching after on some, which I think looks better or worse, can't decide. I also did the top stitching in white because that's what was in my machine, and not in light blue because it wasn't in my machine. And yeah, but they're cute. They'll serve the purpose. She'll wear them for like maybe part of the summer, maybe the whole summer. The other thing I did was, instead of making a casing, I serged the elastic to the top of the pants and then just folded it over and zigzagged it in place. Did another little tag in the back with the popsicle like I did on her dress. These look really tall though, right? Or is that just me? Like, this is her crotch. This is gonna go up to her chest. So I might need to chop it off and make them a little smaller, but we'll see. But these are something that have been sitting in a project bag for a while. They're fun, they're cute. I was gonna say she'll like wearing them, but I don't think she will, because I showed them to her when I finished them this morning and said, do you wanna wear them tonight? And she said, no. So at some point, they'll be the only thing in the drawer and she'll have to wear them. That's my goal. But yeah, those are done out of the project bag and will serve their purpose. And they were very inexpensive to make. This pattern also I got for free because someone gave it to me, which, thank you. Those are my 2 completed projects, I believe. The other thing I've made significant progress on is my dress, which is going to be New Look 6728. I am making it out of this double gauze, which, now that I did my colors, I don't know if it's really a color of mine, but I think it'll look good with my hair. I don't think it looks bad on me. Here is the toile. I just did the bodice. I actually vlogged this morning. It was my like makeup Mother's Day, so I got to spend the morning sewing, and most of the time I did this, and then I finished up those pajamas. But I worked on this most of the time, so I have, I don't know, a few more clips of it in progress, and while I was working on it, that'll be coming out next Wednesday. It'll be kind of a I don't know if we spend the day with me sewing or spend the weekend with me sewing, depending how much footage I have. But this is what I got done. It does fit because I made modifications. When I finish the dress, I'll probably go more into detail about all of the measurements and how I arrived to the results I did of why I needed to change what I did. But basically, this bottom band needed 8 more inches. Everything else was gonna fit in a 16, actually. I think a 16 would have fit based on the measurements, like the finished garment measurements, but this waist was not gonna happen. I was off the charts. Like, my waist size is not even on here for the finished garment measurement, which is why I had to add 8 inches. But like I said, I'll talk about that more when I get it totally done. As of now, it is going to work with the modifications I made, which is super nice. I was kind of worried I was gonna have to figure out a different pattern and a whole different plan, but I do not. I will hopefully be able to get this finished up this weekend, so it's done well in advance of his promotion ceremony next Friday. That is it in terms of sewing that I can think of and remember. Like I said, today was my makeup Mother's Day because I was out of town for actual Mother's Day and Adam had to work anyway. So this morning, our daughter went to playtime at the Y for a good 4-hour block. They do parents morning or evening out a couple days a week. So she went to parents morning out and I stayed in and sewed, which was really, really nice. I watched A Gentleman in Moscow, which I read the book. Well, I listened to the book like years ago, 4-ish, 3 years ago, I don't know, a while ago. And I saw that they came out with the show and I was watching that. It's really good. I'm enjoying it. And yeah, what else about life? We did not do anything last weekend. Hung around the house. We've just been hanging around the house a lot, actually. The other thing I did today for my Mother's Day celebration was I went to my local quilt shop that reopened recently. They came under new ownership and had a grand reopening. But once again, I'll talk more about that and kind of show what I got. Not kind of, I will show what I got in the video that's coming out next Wednesday, which is going to be either a day in my sewing life or a weekend in my sewing life, depending on how much footage I got today. This weekend, Adam is working nights starting Saturday. Yeah, starting Saturday. He's working through Tuesday night. And then his parents get into town on Wednesday. Some family friends get into town on Thursday. Some more family friends get into town Friday morning. And then his promotion ceremony is Friday afternoon. So basically, today and tomorrow are his weekend. They are our weekend because we go off of his work schedule in this house. That sounds so patriarchal. He works. So when he's at work, I'm at work. So I have a couple things that I need to do probably tomorrow to get ready for our little shindigs to celebrate him next Friday, since I don't really have another chance. I should probably get my life together on that front sometime soon. I posted a video on Wednesday celebrating my 1-year YouTube anniversary. It has been well over 1 year now, 1 year and a couple of days, but I talked about some of my favorite videos. I totally forgot that I did Name That Notion with Adam, which is actually probably my favorite video that I've ever done because we had so much fun doing it together. But when I was scrolling through my channel, I guess I did not give it an interesting enough thumbnail or something. I don't know, because I don't know how I didn't remember that that's my favorite video. So it was very awkward. A bunch of people in the comments were like, oh, I really enjoyed Name That Notion. And I was just like, no. Like, if there was ever a dope moment, that was it. So, whoops on that front. But everything else in that video, I stand by in terms of favorites and whatnot. If you have not seen that video yet, I do suggest you go check it out and leave a comment just telling me what you think of my channel and what your favorite video of mine is. Oh, last thing to mention, another completed item is my Francesca. It is officially completed because I put buttons and buttonholes on it. That's for you, Stacy. I finally did it. And I wore it today and felt very put together. I have a little clip I can insert. I really enjoyed it. If you want to come along for the styling dilemmas when I was trying to figure out how I wanted to wear it, that'll also be in Wednesday's video. So, you know, look forward to that. I'm not a stylist. Let's just say that. That does it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you're up to, and I look forward to chatting with you. Have a great weekend. Bye.